everyone, and welcome to what I'm officially dubbing Riding with Rob. This is my second episode, so thanks for tuning back in. And today we're going to talk about cold air intakes and what exactly they are, what they do, the difference between that and a short ram intake, a whole bunch of stuff. Now, moving my little camera mount here, which is my new feature. I'm completely hands-free, so I can stay 10 and 2 like my mommy always said. So, a cold air intake is well, it is what it is. It's a cold air intake. It intakes cold air into your engine as opposed to not cold air. And that's where a lot of people get confused, is how is it getting cold air as opposed to not cold air. It's not necessarily getting cold air. It's not that the air is being cooled and then brought in like what an intercooler would do for a turbo or a supercharger. Basically, cold air intake places the intake filter or part of the intake, some type like the intake inlet. A lot of times you'll see the tube coming off the front of the cone filters. And most of the time they just put the cone filter outside of the engine bay where wind is going to be, air is going to be pushed past it or into it, therefore getting colder air than it would through the regular intake that's sitting inside the engine bay. Now the reason why this is good is because colder air is denser. Denser air has more molecules in it and kind of gives you, I want to say, almost a natural boost. You're not going to get boost, you're not going to see boost pressure, but it's going to definitely take less vacuum for your engine to breathe in air than it is through your standard intake. Now the cold air intakes are usually wider, they usually have more of a direct path to your throttle body and intake manifold, and so that just makes it easier for the engine. That's really what the system does. It just makes it easier for the engine to do what it's already doing, which is bringing in air, and also it's going to make that air a little bit colder. Now the difference between that and a short ram intake, a short ram intake stays inside the engine bay. It's just a small tube, and a lot of cars have to run this because of the way that their engine bays are designed. And basically it's a small or shorter tube that stays just inside the engine bay, and the filter's at the end of it, and it's inside the engine bay. Now, a lot of people joke and call these hot air intakes, which it kind of is, because all that air that's inside the engine bay is going to be hotter than, if you were going to use a cold air intake, or some of the standard intakes on a car, they'll have a little vent, that vents to the outside so they can get fresher air. Just picked my nose on camera, I'm sure that was attractive. Sorry, I'm dealing with allergy season this year, and it's definitely not fun. So, now a lot of people will sit there and claim that they get 10 to 15 horsepower out of an intake, or use our intake, and I'm here to tell you, you don't have to spend $200-300 on the aluminum pipe or the carbon fiber pipe so you can have an intake. Now, those are the systems to buy. I mean, they look the nicest. You've got the brand name. They always come with a little sticker. I know a lot of guys love the stickers. Gotta have my stickers. But really, you're not going to see a huge difference. I know a lot of people say, well, I didn't feel anything. Well, can you really feel 5 horsepower? I mean, think about it. If your car had only 5 horsepower, are you really going to feel that? I don't think so. You're not going to feel anything. You're not going to go anywhere either. 5 horsepower is nothing. So, why then spend, the $100 to get it? Well, it's more than just the fact that you're going to get, that little bit of extra horsepower. You're also going to be getting more air and colder air, and you can actually see better gas mileage out of these. And the reasoning is once again, you're making it easier for the engine to breathe. Now, I will want to point out that you're not going to put it on there, drive with your foot to the floor and expect to see better gas mileage. It's not how it happens. Getting better gas mileage is just as much about how you drive as the size of the engine, the size of the car, and that sort of thing. So, if you are a conservative driver, and you put a cold air intake on your car, and you continue to drive it conservatively, you will see a gain in gas mileage. Plain and simple. If you're like me and you have a lead foot, you're not going to see better gas mileage because you're going to want to floor it so you can hear that intake open up nice and wide. I need a mount for my camera mount. How dumb is that? But you know, that's really the basic benefits of a cold air or short ram intake, is making it easier for the engine to breathe. Now, the way that these companies get away with claiming, 10 to 15 horsepower gains is because the car is tuned. And I want to throw this out there for all of you people that want to modify your cars. You want to get your car to go faster. The very first thing you should really do is get some type of tuning module for it, whether it be a small piggyback computer or a standalone computer, even if you have the cash flow for something like that. But they make everything from just small chips that'll just modify the signals that are going into your ECM to, they've got the full touch screens that mount off to the side. So you really want to tune your car, and that's where you're going to see major gains. And when you have those tuning chips and tuning computers and that sort of thing, you're going to see the full potential of all the parts that you buy. So not only are you going to see that full 10 horsepower out of your cold air intake there, you're also going to see that full potential of your car also. Because the car can make more horsepower than it makes right now, just by simply tuning it out. These cars, they're put on an assembly line, they're all built, and they're not all exactly the same. So when they're all just given the same computer, and the computer does have an adaptive learning system and whatnot, and it'll figure it out for the most part, but it's really not going to fine-tune it to the point of making more power. Now, if you get these computers, you're going to be able to fine-tune your car. You can even, with the standalones and even some of the bigger piggybacks from like AEM and Apexi, you can take them to a place, they'll throw your car in the dyno, they'll run it a few times, they'll make some modifications to the computer. Nothing but getting your car tuned. So it's really, what you want to do when you're modifying your car. Start with the computer, if you have it. Now, I know some of you guys are still running old school carburetors and stuff like that. For you guys, yeah, just run a cold air intake or whatever floats your boat there, with your ram hoods and all that weird muscle car stuff. Because tuning isn't really going to do anything for you since you don't have a computer. Now, switching over to fuel injection and going distributorless and putting a standalone system in there, yes, that will show power. So, but that's a discussion for a different day, I suppose. Cold air intakes, they are what they are. An intake that brings in cold air and allows your engine to flow more freely. I guess that really concludes today's show. Tune in next time where, again, I'm going to be talking about more car stuff. Thanks for joining.